What's going on? This is Afi Kingdom. This is a special treat. Today, we're going to do episode 2 of Portrait of a Man. If you are not familiar with that series, I'll link the first one in the bio. You can check that out, and then you can get up to date with this. And this is about featuring masculine men coming from all different areas, different lanes, different perspectives, so you can see how we're all together, we're all the same, we're all one. Let me bring my guest on. He's going to tell you who he is, why he's here. We're going to chop it up, give y'all some gems, maybe some relationship stuff. We'll see. But let me bring Dylan in. How you doing, Dylan?
Hey, brother. How you doing, man?
Good. So you told me just something before, just recently, just a few seconds ago. You've been doing YouTube for 12 years, since 2012?
Yeah, man. I got started way back, and it was something where I was working with bodybuilding forums and different types of bodybuilders throughout the world. And the company that I was with, they decided that I was the guy that they wanted to kind of shine and put me out there based on, just like my interaction and personality. And they kind of got me into it. And then from there, I have just ran with it now. And it's only gotten bigger and bigger and bigger over the years. So yeah, it's a long time going, bro.
One thing I can say about you is you have real positive energy. But let's take it back. Let's go way back before YouTube, before bodybuilding. Let's go back to, like, I don't know how old you are, but like this, the teenage years of when we're kind of basically molded to who we are and what it is, how we feel and how we react to things. So as a young man, a 15, 16-year-old man, what were you, or where's your mindset then? And we're going to build from there all the way up.
So I was a 4-sport athlete in high school until my senior year, when obviously you it's rough to do 4 sports because you got to kind of pick one if you're trying to do something with it, right? So I was heavily involved. I played basketball, football, baseball, and tennis. But, basketball was my true love. So, I mean, I was into that, but I was into, partying, girls, the stuff that you would be into as the probably prototypical athlete in high school. And I was big on trying to figure out my future at the same time. You know what I mean? I always wanted to be successful. I had this vision of what I was going to become in terms of like financial success, because I mean, when you're that age, your mind's all over the place. But I still think it was the way I was raised. I'm an only child, and my mom was a teacher, and my dad was like a coach, but he was also in real estate. And so I had a really strong upbringing with it. And, I was always kind of focused on how am I going to figure this out? What do I got to do to make myself excel, but at the same time, not taking anybody else down with me, trying to prop others up.
Man, that's good. So when do you think that you what was it growing up? Because that sounds similar to me. We're always thinking, we're always trying to figure out what's next. Sometimes people are not like that. And that's what I had to realize as an adult, that everybody's not the way that I am, because I would have problems sometimes figuring out interactions, because I would assume people would just think how I would think it. Right. And I feel like the best lesson that I learned in my life so far was trying to expect other people see me out of other people. So whenever once I kind of figured that part out, it just made life easier, because I would just be like, oh well, that's their thing. So like when you start to like really get it, what was like an experience that really made you say, okay, this is what this is, and this is what I'm going forward to do?
I got myself into some trouble when I was younger, and I had to restart. I had to start fresh from scratch at damn near 30 years old. And one of the things that I learned was selfishness that you don't even understand. Because, you take a term and you look at it. Right. And you look at it in one way and you don't really grasp what it is. You kind of get into a tunnel vision, right? So like in faith and religion, charity, when you think of charity, you just think of donating money or donating things or your time, right? But charity, in fact, would mean your love of God as well as your love of your neighbor, right? So selfishness, you look at it as a one-track mind, but I realized selfishness also was, not my decisions, how they affected other people, not just my, because you think of selfishness, it's like, oh, you're just not very giving this, but selfishness can mean a lot of things. Once I figured out to start worrying about other people and how my actions affected them, and then proceeded to learn that one of my favorite sayings that I say is pride doesn't pay your bills. So my ability, and it was really when I met my wife, to learn how to admit when I was wrong and to be more open to listening to other things. Just like you were saying, you expected kind of everybody to be like you. But if you operate on that expectation, you're not going to get anywhere because it's not reality.
Facts.
You can't make somebody something they're not. So one of the keys, I think, to being successful is learning how to adapt to the environment and people that you're around and you're in, right? So you have to have an adaptive. It doesn't mean change who you are. That is not the concept here. The concept is adapting and understanding that everybody's different. Some spots are for you and some are not, right? So you got to get in where you fit in, right? Like kind of what Too Short said. But at the same time, you have to learn how to deal with multiple types of people. Once that clicked for me, and once I got to that level, that's when things started to change. You can do so well for so long, but then you're stuck, right? You can only go so far on God-given talent. You got to adapt some mental changes, and you got to, I don't mean to say conform, like fall in line, but you gotta understand that there's disparities out there that you gotta get along with, right? And once you develop that, you're well on your way. There's always going to be obstacles, man, but the ability to overcome them, not get down, work with other people, it all kind of goes hand in hand. But it just clicks. And once it clicks, it's like, holy shit. It's like that light bulb went off.
Yeah. I hear you say your wife. I want to ask you, how long have you been married for?
So we got married in 2015, but we've been together since 2012. So 12 years, well, not quite 12 years together because it was later 2012, but we got married in July of 2015.
So you were a little older when you found your wife, or she found you. Yeah. Were you a different type of man and she kind of evolved you a little bit, or do you feel like you evolved yourself and that's what you needed to? Because us men, and I'm having these conversations, we come across a lot of women. Yeah. And so what makes the one special to say, I want this one for reals? Like, what makes her different than the rest that you had?
So here's a little background.
You was probably a playboy because you got too many shoes, so that tells me a lot.
I was bad, so I got hurt playing college basketball. So I broke my back in a couple spots and I had to stop playing, which was very, very difficult. And so what happened was my mom had pressured me a lot to go into modeling. Now, for me at the time, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, I'm just keeping it real, I felt it was a little too feminine for me and it was not something I wanted to do. And then I got to the point where I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. So what happened was I went to the biggest competition they have in the United States. And, I got in there, there's like 50,000 people at this thing. And I'm going, what the hell am I doing here? Well, I ran with it. I ended up being 5th overall in the whole thing. And I immediately got a contract signed, went to Italy, started modeling, right? So you can imagine what that was like for me.
Yeah.
So, and I was my whole life was partying and girls and worrying about money in my 20s. I told you I got myself into trouble. And then it was like a 180 on what I was like, okay, I'm living wrong, I'm doing wrong, and I'm really not happy every single day. I'm not. I think I'm happy until the next day.
Right.
So all I did was say prayers and say, you know what? There's no rush. There's nothing. I'm not even looking for anything. Just on your time, when the time is right, bring somebody to me. And once I met her, everything just kind of flipped upside down for me, and that's when I started to learn how to be in a real relationship, not like the ones that I was in, and that give and take, that, okay, she's the polar opposite of me, which is the perfect thing for me that I need, right? And so she rubbed off on me, I rubbed off on her, things changed over time, and we just grew kind of as one. And now most people will tell you when they get married, their life is over, right? Or people will say, oh, your life's going to be over. And for me, it was like, man, it really got started at that point is when it got started, my life. And now what it's become if it wasn't for her, I don't know what kind of shit I'd be. I really don't. I don't. But we don't. It's an effort, right? Anything that's worth having is a work. But when people say, "Oh, marriage is such work," it's such work. Sure, it's work. And what is not work that's worth having? But it's not. It's not this. Oh my gosh, it's so hard every day. Oh, there's always gonna your career, your relationship with your parents, anything, even your for spiritual people like myself, your relationship with God. There's always ups and downs and trials and errors. That's just life. But it doesn't have to be the kind of work people says it does. It works for me so well that it helps me to become far more than I could have ever been. So I am one that gives credit where credit is due, and she has a big role in my growth as a person. And once you find that, see, too many people force relationships, bro. They love the idea, not the person, right? You can't fall in love with an idea. You can't. When you fall in love with an idea, you're going nowhere. That goes for your job, whatever the case may be. You start falling in love with ideas instead of truly falling in love, it's never going to last. It's just not.
How was just juggling your personal life, your fitness, and content creating and stuff? How was that for you? Is that something that you had to adapt into, or is it just that you're naturally a structured type person like that? For me, it's hard, bro. I'm gonna just say this. I was just telling mine, like, I don't even know how I do podcasts because I'm super private and I'm an introvert. I don't know. I'm the exact opposite of what you're supposed to be, but yet here I am years later. So it's just kind of interesting how life happens, you know?
Oh, dude, trust me. I know how it is. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, balance, right? So being that I'm in fitness, and the number one excuse I always get is, "Oh, I don't have the time." And I hate that excuse. You can always make time. You got to sacrifice something. So maybe you got to get up at 5 a.m. to make it work, or maybe you got to go late at night. But if you want something, you can sacrifice it. I did have trouble at first. I get a lot of this. So my dad passed away in 2015. We were so close, right? So I started to take care of my mom and my wife, right? And I have 2 stepkids. And so at the time, it was like I was struggling. I'm always like looking at my phone for work, working on the weekends. And so it become an issue. But now it's like, look, I always tell them, just like my kids, when they call, they're like, "Well, you don't want to bother you." I said, "You're not bothering me. Everything else is secondary." Right? So you have to always do things in order of importance. Right? And for me, it's like your family, your health. These are all the most important things. The work will always be there. Now you got to make it work, and you got to make sacrifices, like I said. But when you said structure, my whole life is nothing but structure. I eat the same thing at the same time every single day. Like, I am that guy, right? I'm very structured, and so it's hard to throw me off. But I accommodate to make things work because it's not all about Dylan. It's about everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how it is.
When did you feel like that you really became to be financially set in your business as everything that you wanted it to be? And what was like the feeling of that?
I don't know that I'll ever be financially set on where I want to be, but I'll tell you this. When I started getting some of the first major year I had, and I got that first bank wire, I went to my wife and I had a couple, and I'm not a big crier by any stretch of the imagination. And the first thing I said was, I don't even know if I'm living in reality right now. And then I started to kind of tear up a little bit and I stopped. But that was, it's been probably 6-7 years ago. But you got, anytime you're in this, and this, there's there's peaks and troughs, just like everything else. It's not, you're going to do really well and you're going to probably do not so well. And I've had struggles, and then I've had successes followed by struggles and successes. The key to all of that is understanding that there's always going to be good times and there's always going to be bad times. How you handle the bad times shapes how much good that you actually have, because there's no success without failure. There's no learning without mistakes, right? So I always tell people some of the best teachers have made the most mistakes because
That's
that's how they learn.
Mhm. Have you ever had any weird instances on social media? Because you know the social media age, and me and you are both older guys, so I know I sometimes I feel like I'm in the twilight zone.
Oh man.
It's even weird. Like like I've had people like hit me on Instagram and suggest and just make suggestions for books and stuff like that, and I just be thinking to myself like, me being a younger guy, I could just hit up Napoleon Hill and be like, "Hey, you should put this in there." It's just weird that it's access is open like that. Like, hey, man, like somebody said, "Yeah, you need." I want to. He said, "I want to." He said, "I want a T-shirt that say expert level game," and I'm like, "Well, I don't have one." He just like, "All right, well, that's the one I want." Okay. Like, all right. I don't know if I'm supposed to be. Am I flattered or am I? I don't know. Like you trying to bully me into making what you want is cool and weird at the same time. Like, all right,
So
it's just different.
Here's the answer to that. Here's a link to the guy that does all my T-shirts. Go ahead and hit him up. Here's the information. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want me to do?
Sometimes guys are like demanding for real. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Demanding and let's talk about that because I know you coach. Like some men to me, even though they may even invest in themselves to consult, they still not really ready though. They think that they are. I've had guys who I don't know if this was in their mindset, but the conclusion I've had guys like consult with me to debate me.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, bro.
So I'm not crazy.
No. Okay. Okay. So when I was younger, and I'm not old by any stretch, I'm 42, but when I was younger and I really started getting heavy amounts of messages, I'm not talking like 2-3 a day. I'm talking about, hundreds a day.
Yeah.
And then, okay. So one of the things I told my wife specifically, because there were times when I'd be like, I'm just turning this person down. And she didn't grasp it at first. I said, babe, one of the things I want to tell you that's very important is not all money is good money.
Facts.
Somebody can cause you way more of a headache than it's worth. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I get people. Now, when I take on professionals, they're coming to me and seeking me out because they want, I don't want to say I'm the best. They're looking for what they believe is the best. Okay. Right. Because I don't view myself in that way, but I do view myself as knowing a great deal in my space. Right. So, but a lot of people that are Google experts, and that have balls of steel behind mom's keyboard, see, that shit don't resonate to me. You and I grew up in a different time period. Yes. We didn't have any of this. You wouldn't say 99% of the stuff people say we would have never said to somebody.
And I'm 43, just so you know. So we, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you know damn well. None of this stuff would have ever been said because sensitivity levels were a lot different back then, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that we'll chalk that shit up. We'll talk about that later. But B, it was a lot easier to get punched in the face and be like, whatever. You know what I mean? Back then, and just it got handled different. Right. So, and three, what I've told people is you don't come and ask me a question to then tell me how to answer you. So what I put like a disclaimer out on stuff a lot. And I say, look, if you're here and you want somebody to tell you what you want to hear as opposed to what you need to hear, I'm not your guy. I'm not your guy. I'm only going to tell you what you need to hear because I got skin so thick. I don't give a shit what you say to me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm not one of those people. I don't care. If I'm waking up tomorrow thinking about what somebody on the internet said to me, I got my own issues. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think about that stuff. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Really. Like, I don't care. It means absolutely nothing to me because, like I said, it's from the safety of your keyboard. And that tells me all I need to know. Most of these people probably don't even have a job, a girlfriend, like never, you know what I mean? So you got to consider the sources of people saying shit to you too. And you have to have thick skin, and you can't be on social media and be an influencer or whatever the case without that. You can't go arguing with people and doing all of that and everything. Because you know what, bro? A lot of these people, that's all they want. And if you don't
get off on
you know, I mean, you know what I always tell people that run their mouth on my YouTube channel now? I always say, I'm sorry you feel that way. The channel's not for you, but I really appreciate you interacting because you're just helping feed my algorithm and helping me to grow. So thank you. And go fuck.
Let me ask you, since you've been in the game a while, what do you prefer out of Instagram and YouTube?
I think I like Instagram better because of how
YouTube's my baby. Not to cut you off, YouTube's my baby, but I feel like if I would have started on Instagram first, I'd have been way out of there.
That's just it. So okay, I love YouTube for what it's done for me and how it's helped me, but the rules, regulations, how it's ran, and as opposed to Instagram, I'm not into that. I'm not into that. You know what I mean? There's certain censorship and things like that I don't believe in. I just don't. You know, that's not life, bro. Like when you're going around changing definitions of words now and the way that society is, and you're manipulating everything and all of that, like I'm not good with that. I love YouTube, like you said. You know, we got started there, right?
Yeah.
But I don't roll like that, man. I just don't.
When'd you get on Instagram? About what year did you start on Instagram?
I started early, but I didn't use it a lot. I just started using it a lot probably the past 3-4 years, and that's what's taken off for me the most in terms of following is Instagram. Yeah. I'm not a big Twitter guy. I obviously I had Facebook and MySpace back then at the same time, you know, and you can only go so far on Facebook. You know what I mean? It's kind of more Facebook. I'd say is more for just keeping contact with people and, you know, stuff like that you grew up with and everything. Mm-hmm. For me, Instagram is where it's at. I know some people like TikTok and Twitter, and that's cool. I use Twitter for shoes, you know, to follow shoe people that I follow.
My TikTok hasn't even surpassed 500 followers. I can't get it over there.
Well, once again, because you're not doing kid dancing shit and all of that. I mean, I got a lot of followers on TikTok, but I don't interact with them. You know, I use it because I have to. I don't like it. I really don't. It's more for younger people and to do their little dance shit and whatever it is. I'm just not into that. I listen. Like, I'll follow stuff on Instagram. I don't follow a thing on TikTok. Nothing. I just post and don't look at nothing else. Nothing.
Yeah, I had a guy. He hit me up, and he was gonna do my what do you call it? My clips. And so me and him got into debates because he was just making my clips, and he was just making them random. And I'm like, dude, I could do this shit myself, bro. You just if I say I want 10 shorts per week, watch the fucking video, right? And like for some clips, you're just literally just chopping it up and being like, here. And I'm like, bro, like that don't even make no sense. It's just like literally just me coming on. So and something it doesn't even have nothing to it. Like, bro, like I'm not gonna pay for that. And then he turned around and blocked me, right, and took my money. So then I just said, man, the hell with TikTok. Yeah, bro. So that was my TikTok experience.
One of the things that I'm sure you know, because you got such a large following on Instagram, you got to be careful because people will hit you up daily. Say, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do this. You know what I do? I actually go in, pick out my clips myself, and I send them to my son, and he does all the editing and does everything for me. Yeah. So I don't got to worry about anything, you know? So it's straight for me, but there's so many people out there trying to like hit you up constantly.
It's expensive too.
Oh, I know.
It's to me, because we've been doing it for a longer time, so it's just like, wow, like it's become that much of a thing where people are charging thousands of dollars for this. Like it's because you know, before there was no, when I started, and I know when you started, there was no such thing as reels, shorts. It wasn't even a thought.
No.
You know, so even when I do live shows, I be telling guys sometimes I get pissed off when they're not engaging enough, and I'm like, man, when I was younger, I used to have to watch podcasts from online. Yeah. There was no dropping comments. I couldn't just tell, hey, that was some fire shit you said. There was none of that. I just had to listen to it and wait for a week. You know, I have shit where I do free game Fridays, and I'd be like, you know, give me a question, and then they'll just be asking me. And it's like, all right, well, then you can just consult with me then. It's whatever. You know what I mean? But I'm here trying to give it to y'all. But
no, I get it, dude. Like it's crazy. Like, And it happens so fast. You just wake up one day and it's like, oh, we got a new feature here, and you just got to learn it. You know what I mean? And I always tell people, it's like with video games now, it's like you got to take a fucking college course to play some of these video games. And that's how it is on here too. And you just wake up and it's something new and it's something different. But it's, you know, it's part of your life now. It's part of your work. You just got to figure it out and do it. The thing with the shorts and the reels and the clips, everything's so algorithm related now. So everybody wants to trick you, and everybody does SEO, and everybody does this and everybody does that, but only a handful of people really do the actual work. Yeah. You know what I mean? That really know what they're doing. And it's a bitch, because if you're new to this, you just don't know, and you're going to spend thousands of dollars on nothing.
You got up to 1 million, going on 2 million on Instagram. When did you start getting friction over there? Like at what number? Was like at 100,000, 200,000? When did you start really getting a push over there on Instagram?
You know what happens? Like once you get to a certain point, you get to a certain number of followers, you're automatically intriguing. No matter what you're doing, no matter what you're posting, people just start following you because they look at the number and they don't even look at what you're doing. You know, and it's easy. Fuck, I've done it too. I'm like, whoa, this guy's got so many followers. What the hell is he doing? You know, and it automatically makes you intriguing to the viewer. And I get it. It does. It works. Once you get about to that 100,000 level, people take notice. And then, so, you know, somebody will tag you or something, and then all kinds of people start doing it because they see you're a big name and they're hoping their name shows up on your stuff, right? And it just goes and it goes and it goes. And then it also helps for me, like when I'm reaching out to somebody to do a podcast, you got instant credibility. So it's helpful. You know what I mean? Like somebody that's a big name is going to be more apt to listen to you or willing to come on your stuff, which sucks because there's people that have a smaller following that do a hell of a lot better job than people with big following.
Yeah. But, yeah, I credit myself. I respond to everybody, even if it's some dickhead shit, because I remember just starting and having like 700 followers and 71 subscribers. People wasn't responding to me. I had the same intent as I do now, so I know how it feels on the other side of that shit. So I'll at least hear people out.
Yeah,
you know?
I love that, and that's one of the things I've always prided myself on, is for every comment on YouTube, unless it's just something that I have to delete, which I
acknowledge them all.
Yeah.
Because you get that notification.
Yep.
The author says something, so you make I know those. I remember that, so I'll be like, you know what? I would be excited.
But okay, I understand that some people they really do like not look at their phones and they keep them away for a purpose. But there's a lot of people that have large followings that very damn well could respond to a lot of stuff and just choose to be assholes about it. They really do. Listen. One thing I always tell people: me, you. Next person. We got 2 followers or 20 million. We're all humans. There ain't nobody better than anybody else. They just happen to be good at what they do, right? And so I don't like that shit. I never think I'm better than anybody as a person. I might be more skilled at a specific skill set, and then you might be more skilled at a different skill set. Doesn't make me better than you or you better than me as a person. That's all I care about, literally. I don't care how much money you make or what car you drive or whatever the case may be. I care about you, you know, and that's part of the problem with everybody, I think, anymore.
That's cool, man. Well, you know what? I'm gonna run this in, and I want to do a part 2. You down for a part 2?
I'm down for 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to do, bro.
Because actually, I got a and you check him out. His name is Alpha Villains. He wasn't feeling well today, so I wanted him to be a part of it. So the next time it'll be the 3 of us.
Hell yeah!
You can check him out on Instagram and stuff, but let the audience know what you got going, and just leave them with some last words, my brother.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. And I appreciate your time, bro. I've checked a lot of your stuff out, and it's very cool what you do. And so, you know, I'm happy to do this with you. So my podcast has really taken off. I really started getting away from just doing educational videos and stuff to podcasts, so people could see who I am, and I showcase individuals at the same time. Because to be a podcast, you don't script it all. just like me and you,
I'm an energy person, bro.
Yeah, you gotta.
Let me add to that real quick, because
Yeah.
in I guess it's a preference. So I'm not going to shit on anybody's ideology, but what I'm saying is I've had people send me scripts for shit, and it kind of pisses me off.
Yeah.
I don't. I know what the fuck I want to ask you. Excuse me. Like, I mean, come on, bro. I ain't just started it. You know, like, come on now. Like, I can understand key points. Like, if of course, if you have this consulting business, you don't want me to forget that. Or if you have this type of offer. But I'm talking about like verbiage. Like, nah, bro. I don't need your words and shit, bro. Just give me the key points of if it's that serious, you got some shit, I'm gonna help you promote it. But don't tell me how to, like you said. I'm talking about, bro. I'm talking about jokes included. Like, you gonna tell me the jokes to ask you to, bro? Like, for real? I'm cool.
I'll pass on that. This ain't a fucking WWE match. You know what I mean? This is a conversation. Now, there are some people that I interview that have some controversial stuff going on that I'll say, hey, is there anything you don't want me to ask you that'll make you uncomfortable? I'll do that. But I'm not, I don't do scripts, man. If there's some stuff that you specifically want to talk about, cool, like you said. But if you watch the most successful podcasts like Joe Rogan's and things like that, they are cool. Their conversations, they listen, they interact. They really, when you have a guest on, you're trying to feature them, the guest is going to talk more, but it's still a conversation. You know what I mean? And so that's what I've tried to do. I've been building tremendous guests. So I would tell people to check that out. And then, I try to post some different things on Instagram so people can see who I am, not just the character that you may see. And I keep it as real as you can, but it's nice to be able to see who a person is. Like, I'm an animal lover, my family stuff. People like to see that. So I do stuff like that. I do stuff at the gym. I just keep it fucking real. So what you see is what you get. You either love it or you don't. But that's what you're always going to get with me. So I'm easy to find, just at Dylan Gemelli everywhere. And you can type in Dylan Gemelli on YouTube, but it is under PE Fitness as well. That's Performance Enhancement Fitness. But I'm easy to find. I'm easy to converse with. So, and like I said, I just keep it real at all times, man.
Cool. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you. Y'all make sure y'all check out the 3 books I just dropped. I'm going to put the link for those in the description. And I'll talk to you on the back end. We'll set it up, and it'll be maybe it'll be you know what? That's the next time. So the next time, it'll be a 4-piece. So I'm gonna holler at Chase. So me, you, Chase, and AV, we'll do it like that. So it'll be the 4 of us.
Hell yeah!
So it won't be an interview. It'll be I'll come up with something. Don't worry about that. That's the easy part. But I appreciate you coming on, man. And we'll talk soon. Drop a comment in the chat. Peace, y'all.
Peace.